Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. Happy New Year. And look at us right here. In the new year, what are we going to do? We're going to talk more completionists. That's right, because I haven't had time to do anything else but to listen to completionist drama. And whenever I get a break, I just put the baby to bed. And I'm out here in the Philippines looking at nature. You can hear the birds chirping around me. In front of me, there's a big old banana tree and a mango tree. This kind of scenery I'm looking at while we're talking. And the internet connection here is not too great, so I don't know when you're going to get this video. But I just finished watching a video by the Moon Channel. Let me tell you something, guys. From the beginning of this saga, I told you that, anything can happen, right? You can have a certainty of something, and here comes a lawyer, here comes an accountant, and all of a sudden you can't believe your lying eyes, right? Because one thing is to have an opinion of somebody, right? I can say, I think the completionist, is a piece of crap. I think he's a liar. I think he's ugly, whatever. Those are just opinions on somebody, either how he looks like or how he acts, whatever, on his personality. A very different thing is to make legal claims. And when I told you that, Mutahar and Karl Jobst here, they had they were taking a chance by making legal claims. For example, embezzlement is a legal claim, right? And one thing is to have an opinion that this guy maybe did something shady, and a very different thing is accusing a person of a crime, right? Even though you might think that you have all the evidence that you need, that's very different in a court of law, right? Because we don't know what the laws are, and people in different countries, it's very hard for them to be familiar with the laws of another country, especially if they're not international lawyers, right? And anything can happen with money. I've told you that, guys, so many times, that you can do so many things with money that people think to seem to be improbable, or like Palpatine put it, powers that are unnatural, right? And that might be the case here. I mean, when the Moon Channel breaks it down to its legal terms, right, and what the situation is in reality, as opposed to what the accusations are, and what you can prove. Well, you can say anything, right? But it's very different what you can prove in a court of law. And if you're not able to prove it, right, you can have an opinion about something. But if you're not able to prove a legal claim, that is when people can come back to you and threaten lawsuits like the completionist just did here, right? And I'm going to put a link to the video down below. And after watching his video, and I'm telling you, if you really want to get the gist of it, you have to watch the entire video, including legal definitions. But this guy really takes these two guys to task. He really does. Basically says that they're just doing Google research, and basically says these guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about, plain and simple. And that the completionist might have some outs here, because the presumption is innocence, right, until proven guilty. So whatever statements or misstatements he make are going to be taken that way. Okay, well, you have to prove that he had the intention to do this or the intention to do that, right? Intention has a lot to do with what type of regulation or law that you're trying to violate. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a guy talking smack, but I recognize this off the bat, right? Off the bat, that I'm just a guy sitting here, and this is just my opinion on whatever, and we're just talking about generalities, and it basically boils down to just talking smack, talking shit. But a very different thing is to sit there like this guy's and say, this guy embezzled, right? That's a legal term that requires some jail time, right? You're going to do time, right? And then you can say that after a person gets convicted, right? You can say it all day. But if you're just saying it and the person hasn't been convicted, right, and there hasn't even been a trial, and you don't know if that person is even going to get charged, then that's a whole different ball of wax. Now, in the future, they might be convicted, right? And maybe you were right in saying it. But during the time it's happening, while he's not convicted, there can be some legal consequences depending on what state you live, what country you're in, right? But let me tell you, if you're fans of Mutahar and Karl Jobst, you're probably not going to like this video, because this guy basically accused him of just doing sloppy ass research, right? When it came to legal terms, just Googling something and pulling the first term that came out and going without and making accusations on that, number one. Number two, using websites that are really tailored to, get customers for potential clients for lawyers, right? And that's what he called it. He called it Tinder for lawyer matchmaking or something like that. I didn't know the particulars because I don't know all the research that they've done, right? I don't think, neither does he, so he doesn't know what these guys have in their back pocket. But it's interesting to see somebody legally taking them on the other side, because this will give you a window on what the completionist take is going to be on this thing. Because if he just strictly goes for the label that, listen, these guys call me an embezzler, right? That I embezzled money, that I took money away from this company intentionally and did all this other stuff. And that never happened. It could be something else, right? It could be some other type of violation, regulation, whatever. But if it's not that, which is, a crime, then his lawyers might hang themselves on that and say, okay, we're going to make an example of these guys to stop anybody from making legal claims against you and your reputation, right? And he went down the completionist response video, and some things that he said, obviously prepared by a lawyer, but why they were important, right? And I'm telling you, it's a long ass video, but it's really worth watching if you've been following this story. Now, as I told you before, I've heard rumblings that this guy will take legal action. And, I didn't know exactly how or who or what the talks were being had. But if he hangs his hat on this, right, if his lawyers know for a fact that he's not going to go down for embezzlement of any kind, right, then, what are you going to do, right? What are you going to do if you want to protect your reputation? You're going to go straight forward after shots have been fired, and you're going to try to defend yourself as best you can, even though in the public court of opinion, he can never do that, right? He's never going to convince anybody out there, anybody that listens to these videos, that he's a straight up guy. To me, has he done anything illegal? Hell, I don't know, right? I don't know, but do I think this is a slimy guy that would lie to you in order to get his way? Absolutely. Did he manipulate his audience into thinking certain things when they weren't true? Absolutely. Did he use the money in the spirit that people gave him the money for? No, because nobody gave him the money for appearance fees or for him to have $12,000 worth of expenses just to sit in front of a sofa talking shit and playing video games. Absolutely not. To me, this guy's a complete slime bag. But that's different than to say this guy committed a crime, right? Those are two different things. And to go online and assert it over, where millions of people can watch it, holy crap. I'm telling you, this is the trial that we all want, right? So we can follow it all the way through. But this is exactly why it could happen, right? Because if you're making legal claims, you better be damn sure that you know what the hell you're talking about. And you consulted a lawyer before opening your mouth. And if you know lawyers, the first thing they're going to tell you is shut the fuck up, because it could be that this guy never gets his YouTube career back, but it also could be that he sues both of these guys and he might get some monetary compensation, or just silence them completely, get to some sort of agreement. Who knows? But if I'm a guessing man, I think the completionist is absolutely going to take legal action against these two guys, because the bar for at least for the crime of embezzlement is pretty clear, and it's higher that they've shown here. Now, if they have other evidence, well, that we don't know, right? And we probably won't know until he actually sues them. But let's see what happens. Well, guys, Happy New Year. This is what you wanted. Oh, you know you need it. You know you want it. I'm sure both Karl and Mutahar are going to respond. Let's see what happens. Enjoy the show.